You watch them laugh, the people at the table next to you, the friends who seem to move through life without carrying anything heavy in their minds. They sleep easily. They enjoy things fully. They do not replay conversations from 3 years ago while trying to fall asleep. They do not analyze why someone said what they said. They do not feel the invisible weight of every room they walk into. And something in you breaks a little when you watch them, not because you resent them, because you cannot figure out how to be them. You have tried. You have tried to just relax, to stop thinking so much, to just enjoy the moment. And the harder you try, the louder the mind gets. Most people will tell you you are overthinking, that you need to let go, be present, stop making everything so heavy. It sounds like advice. It feels like a diagnosis for a disease you did not choose. But Carl Jung would say something else is happening. Nothing is wrong with you, but something happened to your mind that cannot be undone. Once awareness develops, there is no going back. You cannot unsee what you have seen. You cannot unfeel what you have noticed. You cannot return to the comfortable fog once the fog has lifted. And the lightness you watch in others is not a skill you lost. It is a place you can no longer reach. Jung used a specific term for the state most people live in. He called it participation mystique, a mystical fusion with the group, the role, the culture. Most people are not separate from their environment. They are merged with it. They do not observe their life. They are inside it, moving with the current, asking no questions about where the current is going. This is not stupidity, this is belonging, and it produces a kind of peace that the aware mind cannot access, because the aware mind has stepped out of the current. And once you step out, you see everything the current was hiding. You see the roles people play. You see the performances. You see the lies that hold the whole thing together, and you cannot unsee them. That is where your heaviness begins, not as a flaw, as a separation. Picture two people at a party. One is fully there, laughing, belonging, fused with the room, not analyzing the room, just inside it. The other stands slightly apart, smiling when required, saying the right things, but watching, seeing how everyone performs their role, seeing the small manipulations, seeing the fear underneath the confidence, seeing the loneliness inside the loudest person. Which of these two is happier? The one who belongs. Which of these two is more awake? The one who sees. And you are the second one, standing in the same room, breathing the same air, living in a completely different world. Here is the machinery of why this feels so heavy. When people are unaware, they project their shadow outward. Their anger becomes someone else's fault. Their fear becomes someone else's problem. Their darkness lives outside them, in the people they judge, in the groups they despise, in the enemies they create. This is comfortable, because the shadow never has to be faced. But when awareness develops, the projection starts collapsing. The shadow moves inward. You start seeing your own darkness, your own selfishness, your own fear, your own capacity for the very things you used to judge in others. And that hurts. Not because you are worse than everyone, because you can no longer put your darkness anywhere except inside yourself. The unaware person dumps their shadow on the world and walks away lighter. The aware person carries their own shadow and walks away heavier. You have lived this in ordinary moments. You are in a conversation. Someone is telling a story, and you notice, not deliberately, you just notice, that they are performing, choosing their words to create an impression, editing the truth to protect their image, and you smile, and you nod, and you respond appropriately. But something inside you has stepped back, because you can see the seam between who they are and who they are pretending to be. And once you see that seam, you cannot unsee it, not in them, in everyone, including yourself. You catch yourself performing your own role, saying things you do not mean to keep the peace, laughing at jokes that are not funny, being the version of yourself the room requires, rather than the version that is actually true, and the heaviness grows. Not because life is bad, because you can feel the gap between the performance and the reality, and that gap is exhausting to carry. This is where Jung goes deeper than most people follow. He did not believe this heaviness is a malfunction. He believed it is a process. He called it individuation, the slow, painful separation of who you actually are from everything you were told to be. Most people never go through it. They stay fused with their family's expectations, with their culture's values, with the role they were assigned before they could speak, and they are lighter for it. But something in you did not stay fused. Something in you started questioning, and the questioning broke the fusion. Now you are caught between two worlds, too aware to sink back into comfortable belonging, not yet whole enough to stand fully on your own. That in-between place is the heaviest place there is. It is the cost of becoming whole, and it is not a punishment, it is a passage. Watch the pattern. Every time you try to measure your happiness against people who never left unconscious comfort, you lose. Not because they are better, because they are playing a different game. They are playing the game of belonging. You are playing the game of becoming. These two games do not produce the same feelings. Belonging produces lightness. Becoming produces heaviness. Belonging produces certainty. Becoming produces doubt. Belonging produces peace. Becoming produces unrest. If you measure a becoming life by the standards of a belonging life, you will always feel like you are failing, because the metrics are different. Their lightness is not proof they are further along. Their certainty is not proof they are right. Their peace is not proof they have solved what you are struggling with. Sometimes their peace is just the peace of someone who has not yet asked the question that is keeping you awake. But here is the part Jung would not let you skip, because this is where the ego turns philosophy into another form of avoidance. Not every heavy mind is deep. Not every overthinker is becoming whole. Sometimes you are not more conscious. Sometimes you are not further along. Sometimes you are addicted to analysis because silence would force you to feel. Because real feeling is harder than thinking. Thinking keeps the wound at a distance. It turns pain into a problem to solve, a pattern to map, a concept to understand. And as long as you are understanding it, you do not have to feel it. The aware mind can become its own escape. The analysis becomes the anesthesia. The depth becomes the avoidance. So, before you conclude that you are simply more conscious than the people around you, ask the harder question. Am I thinking this much because I am becoming whole? Or am I thinking this much because I am terrified of what I would feel if I finally stopped? Because the road to wholeness does not bypass feeling. It goes directly through it. So ask yourself the question that does not resolve easily. Am I unhappy because I see more than everyone else? Or am I unhappy because I have not yet finished facing what I see? Because those are two different conditions. One is the cost of awareness. The other is the cost of using awareness to avoid the very thing awareness was meant to reveal. The people who laugh easily are not your problem. Their lightness is not your failure. But your heaviness is not automatically your virtue either. It is only valuable if it leads you somewhere. If it breaks the fusion. If it collapses the projections. If it dissolves the persona. If it carries you through the pain of becoming whole. If it does not, then it is just weight. And weight that does not transform you will eventually crush you. Jung would not ask whether you are more aware than others. He would ask what your awareness is actually doing for you. Because awareness that does not lead to wholeness is just a more sophisticated form of suffering. And the road that hurts more is only the road that leads somewhere if you keep walking until it changes you. Not into someone lighter, into someone whole.